All right, so this is BIOL223. This is our revised Week 8 content, which includes the cranial nerve content from Chapter 15, as well as the spinal cord and peripheral nerves from Chapter 16. This is our new order of doing things. We're just back off of our exam, so the first thing we're going to cover is the cranial nerves and how you test to see if they're functioning. And as I've mentioned already, I am not a clinician, so this is not a clinical skill that I am teaching you. It is just a good way to learn what the cranial nerves do. So we'll start with, actually, let's start with our little mnemonic. The first thing you can do when you're learning the cranial nerves is there's a few mnemonic devices out there just to remember the letters that are involved. Personally, the really dirty ones are the ones that stick in my brain. The one that sticks in my brain most is actually too dirty, and I'm not going to say it out loud. But your mileage may vary. I don't remember any of the clean ones. If anybody knows of any cranial nerve mnemonics, you're allowed to say it. I'm just not allowed to. So there will be lots of ways to remember that it goes O, 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 T, T, A, F, B, G, V, A, H. Yep, that's correct. And I just said the dirty mnemonic device in my head to make sure that I got that right. So you're going to use Roman numerals for this. If you don't use Roman numerals, it's not correct annotation. If you're not good at Roman numerals, if you've never had to use Roman numerals before, you're going to have to learn Roman numerals. They're not that hard. Uh, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we're going to go 1 through 12. And number 1 is olfactory. Yes, please. This one's pretty straightforward and easy. I think you're going to like it. Olfactory is your sense of smell. Now, in a medical emergency environment, this may not be the most important thing that you test. You'll probably only test it if you suspect there's damage to a sense of smell. Maybe they got punched in the middle of the face, maybe an airbag went off, and you suspect they've broken the cruciform plate of the ethmoid bone. But if you want to test if somebody's sense of smell is working, you could use any strong scent, readily available coffee, for example. If you happen to have some essential oils, you could use that too. But you're in a nursing department, you probably have coffee, right? So what you're going to do is have them include one nostril. Can you smell this? Yes, I can smell that. Include the other nostril. Yes, I can smell that too. It's your sense of smell. It's a special sense. Pretty easy, right? We like that one. Everyone likes olfactory. So the test is smell something. Number 2 is optic. This one is, can you see? So you would test if they can see. You could use an eye chart for that, but really more to the point, and something that will make more sense after our special senses lecture is that you have quadrants, and you can actually have brain damage along the entire optic pathway, or any point of the optic pathway that would remove even just a single quadrant from view. So you'd have them cover one eye and look straight ahead. They're not allowed to move and ask how many fingers do you see? 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 And you get right answers for all quadrants in that eye and all right answers for quadrants in this eye. Right? Your brain is going to be really tricky, and sometimes it's going to fake you out and you're going to think you can see and you can't. So they may be like, oh yeah, that's definitely a 2. And as you do this test, make sure you're in their field of view. Not your field of view, right? Their field of view. I actually had my neuroanatomy professor be like, what's this finger? And I was like, that's past my field of view. I can't see that. And she's like, oh yeah, I have to be out here. So that's optics, so it tests the visual quadrants. On each eye. Cranial nerve 3 is oculomotor. Now, some of you asked why I gave you that picture of extrinsic eye muscles on the last muscles exam, even though it wasn't on the list. And this is why. It would be beneficial for you to know those extrinsic eye muscles because there's very many of them. There's a medial rectus, a lateral rectus, a superior rectus, and an inferior rectus. There's also a superior oblique and an inferior oblique. Now, I'm actually going to cover 3, 4, and 6 at the same time because all of these cranial nerves innervate the extraocular muscles, the muscles that control eye movement. So what we can do is you can take your little pen flashlight that you're going to have, or your pen or whatever, have them looking straight ahead, only move your eyes, not your face. Follow that to the left, follow that to the right, follow it up, follow it down, do a little rabbit ear, and watch their irises following the tip of your pen. The eye movement should be going together in all directions. If at some point, maybe you get one of these, you'll know that you have damage to one or more of your cranial nerves. And if you know which muscles are innervated by which cranial nerve, you can actually tell me which cranial nerve is damaged. So 3 is oculomotor, 4 is trochlear, and 6 is accessory. Not accessory, sorry, abducens. There's another A. A, B, D, U, C, E, N, S. And there's a way to remember which of these innervates which muscles. It may work for you, it may not. Some people like chemical formulas. This is not a real chemical formula. LR6, SO4, 3. That means lateral rectus is controlled by cranial nerve 6. Superior oblique is controlled by cranial nerve 4, and the rest of them are controlled by cranial nerve 3. LR6, SO4, 3. Now, the fact that there's a cranial nerve just for lateral rectus, that's going to be the one on the side, that's going to cause abduction of the eye. That's why it's called abducens. So we've got abducens. So it is possible to just not be able to move an eye to the side. Maybe this eye can move to this side, but this eye can't move to this side because of a single-sided cranial nerve 6 palsy. Trochlear is just for superior oblique, which is a weird one. It's up here. There's actually an anatomical feature known as the trochlear right there. That's why it's named after. It acts like a pulley system, and it actually rotates your eyeballs to the sides, which is weird. That's what your obliques, so superior and inferior obliques, are doing, rotating your eyeball. So if you ever like lie down in the bed and you're watching TV in that orientation, your eyeball is actually a little bit rotated. Yeah, it's weird, right? Congrats, your eyeballs rotate. The rest of them are 3, so you'll see the most number of deficits and varied deficits with 3. So that covers 3 of them, right? You're like, oh, there's 12. How am I going to remember them all? 3 of them just got knocked out all at the same time. And you just did one rabbit ears test to get all of them. So far, so good? We skipped 5, which means we need to come back to it. 5 is really, really big and really, really important. Trigeminal. Trigeminal, true to its name, has 3 huge branches related to the face. Because the Roman numeral for 5 is a V, colloquially we call these branches V1, V2, and V3. Let's go over to trigeminal really quick. There's 4, there's 5. So trigeminal is sensory to the face, or sensory from the face is a better way to phrase that. So we're going to have 3 distributions for trigeminal, and it's going to be the ophthalmic region is going to be the forehead. the maxillary region is going to be the maxillary region, and then the mandibular branch is going to make like a smile from your face. So in order to test to see if trigeminal is working, you can take like a Q-tip or some kind of cotton swab, and you can say, can you feel this? Can you feel this? Can you feel this? And you want to do it on both sides of the face. Can you do this? Or can you feel this? Can you feel this? Can you feel this? So that's its most major function, is sensory from the face. It does have a motor component that you don't necessarily test for. You can, but it's not part of our standard exam. And that's motor to muscles of mastication, chewing. Your masseter muscle, your temporalis muscle are innervated by trigeminal. So it's not part of the exam, but you still need to know it. It's not part of the cranial nerve exam, I should specify. But you still need to know that it does muscles of mastication. So you can lose just chewing, right? If you lose sensory from the face, you can also lose your ability to chew. Yeah?
Can you lose ability of just one?
Yeah. It can be unilateral. It was called ophthalmic. So forehead and nose. That branch is called the ophthalmic branch. V1 is ophthalmic. We already did 6 because that was abducens. Now we're going to do 7, which is facial. Now we already did something from the face. And now we got another really big one doing the face. So what else is there to do with the face? Muscles of what? Facial expression. Muscles of facial expression. So in order to test this one, can you raise your eyebrows? Can you smile? Can you puff out your cheeks? Right? You would check all those things. And Bell's palsy is a palsy to cranial nerve 7. You can lose it unilaterally. This has a second function, special sensory for taste. This is innervating your tongue for your sense of taste. So somebody with Bell's palsy may also not be able to taste on one side of the tongue. Things are going to taste weird and like metallic and in wrong when you have Bell's palsy. Yes?
And Bell's palsy can come and leave it. It's not permanent.
It can come and go, yeah.
Why?
It's poorly understood. Usually it's a viral etiology. There's also infections that can cause something similar. But if you fight off the virus, then yeah, it fixes itself. So 7's really big. 5 major branches over the face. I'm just going to do this for funsies. It's not exam material. But your branches are known as temporal, zygomatic, buccal, mandibular, and cervical. And I remember that by thinking that 2 zebras bit my cousin. Okay, 8. As vestibulocochlear. This actually has 2 divisions, the vestibular division and the cochlear division. We're going to revisit this concept in our special senses lecture at the beginning of AMP2. What we're going to learn is that the vestibular system is going to control your balance and your sense of like where you are in space by like the fluid in your inner ear. And your cochlea is your ability to hear. So if we want to test vestibulocochlear, we can test somebody's balance in a couple of ways, and a couple of ways that have a lot of contraindications. So it's not very often that you're going to be in a situation where it's safe enough to push somebody and see if they can right themselves. That's not as big a deal. What we can do with cranial nerve 8, there's a couple of quick and dirty ways to do this. There are more scientific ways to call the audiologist and make them deal with it. But if you're in the field and you don't have a lot of stress, first of all, what you're going to learn in core 3 is rub your fingers together. Can you hear that? Can you hear that? And if you try it now, you can hear it when it's right up next to you. So really quick and dirty. Slightly less quick, slightly less dirty, but still very quick and dirty. I'm going to do this away from my recording materials for your sakes in the future. you no longer hear that. Do that on the other side. And then a third time, up at the top, and then you can ask them, is there one side where it goes racier than the other? And fun fact for me, yes, I have some mild conductive hearing losses here. And this is how I found out. That having been said, another note on this is that we are not diagnosing ourselves today with anything. Yes, I diagnosed myself with conductive hearing loss, but none of you are. So I happen to know mine's real, so it's okay. It also runs in my family, so that's a fun one. We have enough tuning forks for literally everybody. When you're using the tuning fork, hold it here and nowhere else. If you hold it here, it's not going to work. This is going to stop the vibrations. You hold it here, you tap it, and as soon as you touch anywhere other than there, it stops. That is how you use a tuning fork. Okay, next up, where are we? Cranial nerve 9, glossopharyngeal. Glossopharyngeal. Now, just like with 3, 4, and 6, all kind of innervating the same area, we're going to look at 9 and 12 together. Because 12 is going to be hypoglossal. So what's glossal? Tongue. Glossal is your tongue. Now, what's your pharynx? Does anybody know what a pharynx is other than you? I know you know. What's your pharynx? You're in the right area. It's your throat. So this is going to innervate some of your swallowing muscles. Glossopharyngeal is going to innervate your soft palate, your swallowing muscles. Hypoglossal is going to be under your tongue, and it's going to innervate motor to your tongue. So you'll test these at the same time. Open your mouth and say ah. Now for hypoglossal, you're watching their tongue. Is their tongue sticking out straight, or is their tongue deviated to the side? For glossopharyngeal, you're watching their palate and saying, is their palate symmetrical, or is one side caved down? You could also ask them to swallow, see if it's working. So, one test, 2 cranial nerves. Glossopharyngeal being the palate, hypoglossal being motor to tongue. Let's move forward, shall we? There's glossopharyngeal. Here's vagus. And it gets exclamation points. As you can see from this picture, vagus is going to innervate almost everything in your thoracic and abdominal regions. And what I mean by that is this is a parasympathetic nerve. This is your main parasympathetic cranial nerve of your thoracic and abdominal region. Now you won't get autonomics until week 10, so all I'll say for now is this is going to regulate your rest and digest. This is going to slow down your heart rate, decrease your respirations, allow you to digest your food. And here's the thing about vagus, and the reason that it gets so many exclamation points in A&P2. When I ask, what's the parasympathetic cranial nerve for this? You're going to say, vagus, every time until weeks 9 and 10. Every time. As soon as I say which cranial nerve, you're going to be vagus, like right out the gate. You're going to be really happy because it's always going to be vagus. If you have to guess, it's vagus, right? I just made A&P2 way easier for you. I think parasympathetic innervation to most of your thoracic and abdominal viscera.
No. Vagus meaning like the wanderer.
It's the wanderer, yeah. It's the wanderer. It goes everywhere. So there's one vagus, and then it splits a bunch of times. Vagus. I think even when Liz and Taylor came and visited this class, they mentioned the vagus nerve. They were like, it's always vagus. I Okay, and then one more we haven't covered is accessory. What this means is accessory to the spinal cord. Most of your motor innervation to muscles is going to be through spinal nerves, right? You're going to have your motor pathways. Most of your motor is going to come through spinal nerves. For some freaking reason that we do not understand at all, your sternocleidomastoid and upper trapezius muscle are innervated by a cranial nerve, accessory, cranial nerve 11. So when somebody asks you what accessory nerve does, this is the only time it's okay to go, I don't know. Because it's the shrugging motion, upper trapezius and sternocleidomastoid. So you can have them look aside and see if their sternocleidomastoid is sticking out, right? And then you can have them shrug their shoulders. You could also have your hands against their shoulders and see if they have strength in their upper trapezius. Can you shrug against my hands? And maybe one side's way weaker than the other, or one side just stays down. And that means there's a deficit to accessory. Well, I should take a step back for a second and say vagus nerve, we don't have an obvious cranial nerve test for this, but it's going to be obvious if it's not working. What's their respiratory rate? What's their heart rate? Are they breathing? That's pretty much it. I could also mention for hypoglossal, are they speaking clearly? Is just sort of an innate piece of information that you're taking in. And if they're slurring, if they're not quite clear with their words, then maybe you want to have them stick out their tongue and see if there's a side of it's deviating to the side. And that was it. So for the rest of the hour, what we're going to do is this test on each other. You're going to do it to at least 2 different people. There's 2 different times. Yes.
Could you think of any of the cleaner mnemonics?
No, I don't know any of the mnemonics. I don't know the dirty ones. We can Google that though.
Okay. One of those?
It's too bad. No, it's discomforting. 3I1. Oh, LR6S043. That's lateral rectus, cranial nerve 6, superior oblique is 4. The rest of your extraocular muscles are innervated by oculomotor, cranial nerve 3. Another point about annotations. You could say hypoglossal, or you could write CNXII. That is correct. That is correct. Now, if it's a live practical situation and you say CNXII vagus, now you are incorrect. So my recommendation is pick one or the other. If you're going to do the number, make sure it's a Roman numeral and has the letter C and N before it. Make sense? What's up? Nope, it can be just the name. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now so we can get to our lab content.